Hello, hello, hello. Hang on. So, yeah, sorry for the jump scare. Uh, there's no VTuber model, no PNG tuber, nothing, nothing to basically just hide behind or whatever. We're having me today. This is probably my face reveal, but at the same time, I just wanted to be very open and vulnerable with everyone in regards to this matter. So, um, I really wanted to just basically move on from these things. However, pretty much there is someone that basically just cannot stop themselves from uh, going through more shit like this. So, I'm just here to basically talk about, well, my truth, my experience. I'm breaking the silence in terms of a certain individual, an artist, a streamer, and pretty much eventual con organizer, charliespeachy. Well, pretty much more known as Charlie in the community. Yeah. So it's really confusing to me why it has to come to this point where it should have already been uh, resolved and whatnot. But let's go ahead and go over the details. I want to start from the beginning as to why, in terms of my experience with this said person. So, as you all know, I'm the board bore. I am a VTuber, a furry. I've been around for quite a while. I'm part of this small group called Hayop. Hayop, we were just basically a group of furry streamers from the Philippines who just, decided to make a group because during the pandemic it was rather very lonely. So we just decided to make an Among Us group and things just kind of grew from there. But pretty much that's what we were. That's what we still are. High Up is just a group of, furry streaming together or collabing or whatever. We are not a corporation. We are not an organization or whatever. I don't know what terms you guys would apply. And one of the things that we decided to do, as a group, as a community, or whatever, was just to participate. The fuck is wrong with my camera? It keeps flashing. One of the things we wanted to do was to basically participate in a little known event called Phillyfur. So in Phillyfur 2023, we basically joined and we just went there, tried to have our own table. We sold these keychains, funny keychains, that are based off certain members. One of those members happens to be Charlie Peachy, who had just recently joined around the time of Phillyfur 2023. Now, there's no problem there. And it was a success. Everyone was having fun. Yeah, that was great. Now, what's wrong with my camera? But the thing is, after Phillyfur 2023, we decided to, we were so excited. We were like, oh, that was great. That was great. Let's also go to Phillyfur 2024. So that's exactly what we did. We started to prepare. We put up a list of who wants to be in the next keychain, in the batch of keychains, the list. And then I was also looking for volunteers, people who wanted to volunteer to basically make the art for the keychains. Now, one of the volunteers, or rather, one who basically volunteered themselves immediately, was Charlie. Of course, they were quite excited about it. Hang on, let me just pull up my thing here. Here we go. So this was in the thread in our Discord that they basically volunteered. So of course, I reached out to them and basically decided to take note of what we need to do. So pretty much there, as you can see, I'm reaching out to them. Since you volunteered, please let me know how you want to be compensated, paid for these keychain designs. Because in the previous keychain designs for 2023, I basically was working with a different artist and we had a different deal. Now, moving on. Why is it? Okay. All right. So here we go. Let me just, like, this is unedited. This is just like me doing everything here manually. As you can see here, I'm talking to them. Hi, Charlie. What would you say? What would you say your terms would be for the keychains? Yaki did 10% of the keychain sales last time, but that's him being him. And you're you, so let me know how you would want to do this. And then Charlie responds, is 50-50 okay? I say, let me think about that. But before that, I didn't get to go around the cons. I wasn't able to check for things. What your keychains look like? Basically, me inquiring about what their keychains was like because I haven't really gotten to see how their stuff was like. So they mentioned that they sold their keychains around 150 to 200 each, and I have that they have basically have about 30 about designs or whatever, 30 of each design. Then I asked for a sample of the keychains just to see what their art style is like. On. Since we were like, very much early in the planning, we were still collecting information on who wanted to join. And as you can see here, around December, they were already asking me if they should get started with keychains. And then I just say, since it was already like December at that time and we already had like the list of stuff, I tell them that would be a good time. Maybe, and then I basically ask them if they could do theirs and their boyfriend's premium as a first draft so that we can see what the quality is going to be like. Nothing weird there, nothing there. All right. Then we get the previews of the keychains. These are the sketches, the designs of the keychains. You can see their boyfriend's character and their character. I say these are great. Now, pay close attention to this part right here where it says, I will color it later, but this is how they will look like. That is what they said. And again, as this is a volunteer thing, I had a lot of trust in them, especially because they were very enthusiastic about it. Now let's proceed. All right. For some reason, this isn't in order. Let me go ahead and here we go. Here's another one. We have here around January 16th, 2024. They mention, hi, Bor. I keep forgetting to bring this up, but is it possible for the pay regarding each keychain to be 80% to them, the artist, and the rest, which is 20%, go to the streamer? By the streamer, we mean the owner of the character. That means 80% goes to the artist, 20% goes to the streamer. I basically tell them, let me think about it, and let me discuss things with people. Because we also have to think about the costs, because having keychains made is not free. We'd have to pay for the costs. But since we really didn't really mind paying for, like, these keychains to be made because we wanted everyone to enjoy them, we said, okay, sure, we agree with it. They can get 80%, the artist can get 80%, and then the owners of the characters gets 20%. I tell them, let me know if there's anything else you need. Now let's continue. I ask them if they need a down payment to settle with so that they can, you know, get started on things. So I asked them, do we have a down payment to settle with you? This is already, take note, this is already in February 25. It's been months. Or are we just sticking to 80% of what gets sold? Yes, do let me know. Then they mentioned that they'd want 250 per character done and still want to do the 80%. We calculate it. It is 5,750 pesos in total, and I basically let the people I was working with know about it. We tell them that we will pay them around March when we have the money. They say okay. March comes, we give them the info. They give us the info for their payment, and then we basically pay them, which is this one over here. All right, we'd like to confirm you received it. They say thank you. Yes, we got it. Moving on. Now, it has already been a few months. It is now pretty much around June 26, 2024. I'm asking, hey Charlie, just checking in. Do we have any updates on the keychain art? They say, I've been held back due to mental and physical issues. I will be working with them on them again though. I'm about 25% done. I st- I'm I say understandable. Same for my commissions background. I just because I'm also working on my own art stuff, and I just let them be because I trusted them. Now we go here. We did have this is around April. Again, my screenshots are not in order. I didn't really prepare this. I'm just like shooting this from my heart. So you see here that in this is basically from the thread where everyone could see, where they say, hey guys, regarding those who are having their keychains, can you please let Bor know what pose you'd like for your Sona? If it's possible, like basically, they are basically only giving three different poses per type, per whether you're butler or maid, which wasn't really something that we knew because we were kind of expecting it to be, you know, different for each because that's what we did have the last time. But we understood that it might be a difficult task and each artist has their own capacity and capabilities, so we understood that and we just proceeded with that. Moving on, later on around pretty much May 25, they mentioned that there is an update, apologizing again for the delay. Not them speaking about their mental health, where we do understand, but they are now saying that they can't do other body types. They can only do these specific twink body types to the behest of the others. And I we basically understood like it's fine. So we just continued to work with them. Now, oops, sorry, it's too far forward. The problem is, in the end, what we got in terms of the product, and it was delivered pretty much a few weeks before the Philifer event. It was delivered very, very late, and it was just, let's see if I can find them. I should have searched for them earlier, but either way, where did I put them? There I go. And keychain. Oh, that's not the one. Here we are. Why am I searching there? I can just go ahead and check with Mosaiku because I sent it there. Mosaiku. Where's it? Where's it? Nope. Nope. Where is? Oh, this is the previous one. Uh, there we go. Much better. Sorry, a bit slow. Is the visual guide? Pretty sure I sent one. Here we go. Found it. Let me just save this. All right, here we go. This is the end result. Everything is just line art and sketch. Well, it's not even much line art. It's more like sketchy. No color, and it's kind of hard to tell the difference until you're up close. So, a lot of us were very disappointed with how it turned out. Yet, before that, they also asked if they could increase the pay, like the fee, to which we just say no. And we didn't even ask them to color it, nor did we ask any others to color it because this is what we got. So, it was just a very big disappointment. And despite that, we still went on, we still continued. So there's that. Now, let's talk about the next part, which is when we actually went to the con in Philipper 2024. All right. So we did go to the con. We did buy a table. We set up our things. And we basically had, we had these up for sale. Of course, they did also go there, say, oh, wow, it looks great. So, I'm not sure if that's what they were genuinely feeling or I don't know. People were a bit, unsure about the whole thing. We barely sold any of them because, again, no color, hard to tell. Only those who know the characters basically pick them up, unfortunately, compared to last time. And pretty much, even though, despite that, we still gave pretty much 80% to the artist, to Charlie, and 20% to the artists. Like, with how much we could give, despite not making much sales in that. Now, we have to talk about certain issues. When we went there to Philipper, we were surprised to learn that Charlie was apparently now the head of Philipper. That was something that I myself did not know until I got there to Philipper. So, with that, I just ended up thinking, oh, so that's why they were very busy and they couldn't work on this. I would like, and basically, I just thought, I wish they told me. I wish they communicated that so that we could have probably gone to someone else or at least, made clear details of that. Now, again, I am going to say that it is also on my part a big mistake that we didn't put the agreements of this into letter or into writing. But again, I was doing this because this was a voluntary thing and I was also expecting uh, a lot from them, as well as trusting them with everyone's how do I say this? Everyone's excited. What excitedness? But either way, we get there to the con, and if I remember right, let me see this here. According to my partner there, Kral, he paid about, let's see, he paid a large amount, nearly around 10K for the con stuff, for the table and whatnot. Not really much, not really a problem, but it's why he has a lot of like issues with this. So during the whole con experience, I mean, it was a con for sure. Was it as exciting as the previous one? I would say not. Uh, Funny enough, we also had certain people that I wasn't expecting to be there, like a friend of mine from the Cebu Con community, from Cebu Geeks Plus, who basically was there as well attending the con. Uh, she was expecting a lot more, and us as well. I'm pretty sure everyone had fun, especially for the Just Dance part. That was really fun to look at as everyone was dancing. However, there was not much else going to the con, and there were a lot of issues. One of the issues, as someone who was boothing at the very front, was that we could see people just walking in without, anyone guarding. Like literally, I was there watching as, uh, like a woman. Let's just say an impoverished woman and her child just kind of walked in without anyone stopping them until we called it out. And there were many people that were just like walking in there. No one was really inspecting the tickets or whatsoever in multiple times. And it was really concerning. That was one of the concerns that I basically had. Now, there was a lot of things that were going on wrong with the con. And of course, despite despite all of those things, we still did our best to enjoy it. But of course, with every con or event, there's always going to be discussions. Yes, because discussions and feedbacks are normal things that you would get from events. Now, what happened is a lot of people were discussing about all the weird things that were happening, and there was an issue on the very last day about a bag or something that was left behind. But that's not even just all of it. Around the last day of the con, around midday, around like I don't know, I can't remember the time, but around 5 p.m. or around 4 to 5 p.m., they suddenly announced that there's Midnight Bark, a different con for R18 and stuff. And I'm like, why are you announcing that here? Then suddenly makes an announcement to about the rebranding of the con. And it just felt so weird. That was just something that I basically like, ended up thinking of. And then after that, they just basically kind of left. There was not like a bunch of staff left to deal with this new Midnight Bark thing, and there were less staff than before dealing with the remaining day of the con. And from that, there were troubles that came up, and because of the amount of troubles that came up, they had to do what was called what was called a press con. Now, one of the biggest things that happened during uh, post con was Charlie, the con head at the time, basically just mouthing off and responding in very, how do you say this, unprofessional manners towards people who were concerned about things such as a missing bag. And I myself commented there that that shouldn't be what you're doing. Now, I don't really know the history between that person as well as Charlie, but that is still a valid concern of a bag being missing, especially if that bag was supposed to be in the fursuit lounge. So, of course, I expressed my opinion, give my feedback. That was it. The press con came. The press con came, and the thing is, there were a lot of things that happened on the day of the press con. One of them being that one very disgruntled Kral, who is the person who was basically working with me at the booth, the one who paid for the booth. Why is this looping? Do not. Okay, there we go. So yes, Kral, because of the upcoming press con, decided to make this thing called a bingo card. This thing right here, a bingo card. Look at that. Now, I don't agree with Kral making this bingo card. However, he has the right to make this thing or to complain about the situation because he paid. He paid for the con tickets. He paid for transport tickets. He paid for the tables. He paid a lot of money for this con. So of course he would be disgruntled if it wasn't carried out properly. Now he made this. He made this bingo card because I don't really know his reasoning for the bingo card. He just wanted to check off what everyone's doing because that's the thing that happens. People doing apology videos, and then that's why people make bingo cards, whatever. Now, let me put this bingo card right here. The thing is, when that press con happened, there were a lot of people voicing their concerns about different things. And of course, they always had answers for a lot of things. Now, during the time of the press con, me and a bunch of other people who were concerned or had concerns about the con were watching it together. We're watching it together in a private Discord server, in our own Discord server. And apparently, we were just there discussing things. We were just talking about our experience. However, for some reason, someone kept mentioning that this was some sort of an attack against them. And that was weird to me because we are just practicing free speech and our rights as customers to give feedback to an event. Now, what happened? After a few moments of other people speaking, I decided to also speak up and give out my concerns. I give out my concerns. I talk about everything that happened. I tell them to, be really careful about what you say on social media in regards to your responses because you're supposed to be a team, you're an organization, you are a group that is trying to represent this convention. And if you have your the head of the convention, mouthing off and acting very rudely to people with valid concerns, then that does not sit right with anyone. And that looks really bad on optics. It is very clear. Now, while I was talking there, while I was giving my valid concerns, a certain someone who was feeling very, very attacked, as they would say, started mentioning in front of this audience of many, many people, saying things that, oh, how are your group, or something like that, and about the bingo card. They talk about the bingo card. Now, this bingo card was something that was just private with, Kral, and this whole discussion, us just being in this group talking about what was happening and stuff, reacting to the press con, was a very private affair. We weren't, going around telling people to come here, or anything like that. But they brought it up in public, in a public discussion during a press con. They brought it up, and they did it while I was there trying to give proper feedback. They were trying to make me look a fool. They were laughing at me. Three of them. Charlie the conhead, Charlie's boyfriend, and another conhead. They were there saying we're joking about it, but they were laughing at me. They were making fun of me because I'm apparently doing this thing. Of course, I felt humiliated in front of all these people that watch them or follow the con. I was humiliated. Pretty much, I just finished saying my words and then I leave. Now, after the whole press con resolved, and there were still many more who had many concerns after me, someone reached out to me while we were still in the Discord call, just talking together with others. Someone reached out to me and said, "Hey, we want to talk with you in private. Just you and three of us from the con. A triage or whatever terms, I don't know legal terms, whatever. Three of them were basically going to confront me. The three con heads were going to confront me in a Discord call. They were telling me, hey, you're the leader of Hayop, which, again, I will say I am not. I'm just an active member who just wants to, so it's like, who just wants to have a fun time with the entire community. And before they could rope me into a discussion with just the three of them and me, I did ask to bring Pral, who made this bingo card, and a witness. A witness that has basically no bias to either side. They were a viewer of everyone's streams, and they were also a customer at the con. So we had our discussion. It was a very lengthy discussion. Basically, they were threatening to sue me. To sue me for what? For giving feedback? Apparently, I'm giving death threats. Apparently, I'm instigating hate. They were saying a lot of things. They were saying, I was in trouble. You should control your group. They were mad at me. I don't understand why, when we're just practicing free speech, when we're practicing our rights as customers. How is this wrong? From what I can see, it just so happens that a certain someone cannot take negative feedback and is seeing every form of negative feedback as some sort of hostility towards them. Now, we talked through this whole thing. They wanted to basically, their first idea was to bring in every single member and then tell them that, oh, you're liable for this, you're liable for that. I tell them, no, we are not an organization, we are not a group, we are not a company. We are just a bunch of streamers individually collabing. We are individuals giving our expressions, our impressions, and our feedback. So, we decided to have a proper resolution. And the proper resolution was that, first, we no longer talk about it and we just move on. And they basically mentioned that they were going to apologize about humiliating me on stage, which they did. They indeed apologized on their social media about humiliating me during the press con. Now, what's the problem? Everything should be already closed, right? There should be no more issues coming henceforth. The problem is, after this whole thing finished, we thought that, you know, we're gonna leave each other alone. We're not gonna touch anyone. We're not gonna attack. We're gonna talk about this anymore. The problem is a certain someone. Now, okay, before I continue, before I continue, I would like to basically clarify to everyone that everything that I'm gonna be saying from this point until later on are mostly going to be uh, stuff that I'm going to say that I'm saying I hear and I experience. So you can count it as hearsay, but to the people who gave this information to me, to the people who talked to me about this, it's up to you whether you want to share it or not. But I am just speaking my truth. All right. So first of all, a bunch of people told me that there were situations where when they went to a specific when they hung out at the Discord of our server, a certain someone, Charlie, would suddenly tell them, "Why are you hanging out there? Why are you there? Do you know they're toxic? Do you know they're evil?" They would say a lot of things, try to tell them that they should not be there, that they can't be there. And I tell you this did not just happen once or twice in just a single day, but it has happened multiple times. Now, another thing that I will basically say, wait, let me get rid of this. Another thing that I will also basically say is that this per, uh, this person has basically been doing everything that just feels as if, to me, it looks very self-destructive. Because everything should have already been resolved, everything should have already been closed, yet this person constantly flies out and looks for trouble. They go to people's streams and they mention, especially high up streamers, they go to high up streamer streams and they tell them, "Oh, you should leave because high up is bad, crowd is bad, boar is bad." They say a lot of things. I'm not going to say the exact words because some of the exact words are worse, but they keep slandering me, Kral, and Hayop. Now, for someone who claims that they've moved on, that they've gone past the situation, why would you constantly just go around spreading all these baseless accusations? What paranoia do you have? We are, I am literally a man struggling with debt. You have the power, you have the fame, you have the money. I can barely reach 10 viewers. So why are you afraid of me? Why are you afraid of Hayop when all we've done has just been continuing to stream, continuing our lives? Now, whenever you see someone's collabing with me, whenever you see someone is collabing with Kral, you suddenly message them and attack them, telling them you shouldn't be working with them. That doesn't make sense. That is not part of what we agreed. Now, that's not my only problem. Certain situations have happened as well where, again, as I've said before, do not quote me. You may just have these as hearsay. I am basically just hoping that those truly involved will be empowered to speak. But there have been so many situations, especially in the more recent events, that I have heard from people that they are afraid to give negative feedback. They are afraid to give, their true, thoughtful opinions because they are afraid of Charlie. How can you how can you strive to be better if you yourself aren't moving on when everyone else already has? There was there was a situation in the recent online con called Philpa where everyone was there listening to the panel of mental health, trying to talk with the psychiatrist or psychologist that was on stage, that was conducting the panel, and yet you decided to go in and make it about yourself. You did not let anyone else speak. You always made it about you. Oh, what if they're threatening me? Oh, what if they are sending me death threats? From what I can see, you are constantly looking for trouble yourself. Why? I do not understand. Now, I'm not going to say much other than this because I'm leaving it to pretty much anyone else who has their own thoughts about things. But my problem here is that we have moved on from this for a long time. It has been a year. A year since then. We have moved on so graciously far away from this. Yet you continue to bring it up and then claim that we cannot move on. How can you say that we cannot move on when we do not even want to deal with you? We just want to live our lives. Yet you decide to put yourself in front as if you need this attention. When when I was riding the Jeep coming back here, I thought I was going to cry. I thought I was going to beg you to leave me the fuck alone. But then I realized it's not that I need to beg you to leave me the fuck alone. It's more that I am begging you. I am begging your partners, the people closest to you, to goddamn look after yourself. Because all you keep doing is hurt yourself by putting yourself in danger, by constantly trying to make issues. You, your boyfriend, your constituents, your people, if they really cared about you, they would be stopping you from hurting yourself over and over again by doing all of this. So please, have some love for yourself. Be kinder to yourself. Fucking move on. Because I don't want to deal with you. I have already moved on from you. And I do not want you to keep coming around to every person that I know, telling them what you think I am when you don't even know me. Charlie, I cared for you. I cared for you like you were my own little. I'm part of the ABDL community, for God's sake. You need to look after yourself more. Stop doing this. It isn't right for you. It isn't good for you. Get help. Yeah. So this is me speaking my truth, no longer being silent because I am tired of you constantly harassing people close to me, telling them that I am a garbage person. Because look at me, I'm garbage. Look at me. You need to stop this.